Forces of Habit, Drugs, and the Making of the Modern World. This is a very interesting book. It provides a comprehensive and nuanced exploration of the complex history and societal impact of drugs and drug use. From the early modern period to the present day, the book highlights the role of drugs in shaping cultural movements, artistic expression, and political and economic systems. It also examines the various approaches that societies have taken to regulate drugs, including taxation, prohibition, and harm reduction. The book raises important questions about the efficacy of drug policy and the ways in which drug use can both positively and negatively affect individuals and communities. The book traces the roots of the psychoactive revolution to the early modern period and the development of transoceanic commerce and empire building. Merchants and imperial elites sought out new sources of drugs, such as tobacco, opium, and coca leaves, and traded them across vast distances, creating a confluence of the world's psychoactive resources. Throughout history, societies have had varying attitudes towards drug use. Some have embraced it as part of their cultural heritage or religious practices, while others have sought to restrict or prohibit it altogether. Governments have attempted to regulate drug use through various means such as taxation, prohibition, or medicalization. However, these efforts have often led to unintended consequences such as increased crime and violence. The democratization of amphetamines in the mid-20th century was driven by the rise of industrial production methods and increasing availability of prescription drugs. Amphetamines were initially prescribed for weight loss, depression, and narcolepsy, but their stimulant effects soon made them popular among a wider range of users. They were used by soldiers to stay awake during wartime, athletes to enhance performance, and college students to stay up late and study. James Duke, a tobacco industry executive, played a significant role in promoting smoking by developing new marketing strategies that targeted women and young people. Duke helped to make smoking socially acceptable and fashionable, which led to a significant increase in cigarette consumption. In India, the British colonial government imposed high taxes on alcohol in order to discourage its consumption among the Indian population. However, this had unintended consequences as it led to the rise of illicit alcohol production and smuggling. Prohibition in the Soviet Union failed because the government's measures aimed at reducing alcohol consumption, including closing down distilleries and limiting sales hours, were largely ineffective and led to a rise in black market activity and corruption. From the history of drug use and regulation, one key lesson is that prohibition often leads to unintended consequences such as increased crime and violence. Another lesson is that drug use is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that cannot be fully understood or controlled by legal or medical interventions alone. The first half of the 16th century saw drug control authorities focusing on suppressing non-medical use of novel drugs, particularly tobacco smoking. Drinking spirits was another practice that attracted attention from drug control authorities besides tobacco smoking. By the end of the 17th century, suppression had almost universally given way to taxation as drug control authorities began to tax non-medical use rather than suppress it. Early drug control systems faced challenges in regulating drugs, including not anticipating the development of hundreds of new synthetics or the emergence of millions of non-medical users. Drug therapies slipped the bounds of medical discourse and control when they began to be widely used in non-medical contexts, generating public controversy and state intervention. Overall, Forces of Habit, Drugs, and the Making of the Modern World provides a comprehensive and insightful exploration of the history of drug use and regulation. The book highlights the complex and multifaceted nature of drug use and the challenges faced by governments and societies in regulating it. It also sheds light on the ways in which drugs have influenced cultural movements and artistic expression throughout history, and the role of key individuals and institutions in promoting or regulating drug use. Through its detailed analysis and engaging writing style, the book offers valuable insights and lessons for policymakers, healthcare professionals, and the general public alike.